I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
So, people, it's been a week since what many of us think is the beginning of the apocalypse. And one of the biggest things that has come out of this new presidency is getting rid of programs that stress diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, a lot of people are hailing this, saying, well, this was all reverse discrimination, meaning that, of course, white people should always get the first bite of the apple, and that anyone else who is considered is only an affirmative action hire, and of course, not even qualified by whatever measurement other than being white seems to imply. So, when we think about this, have we started to panic yet? And should we? Well, I had an interesting conversation with a reporter from the school newspaper where I teach, Emerson College, and there were plenty of worries, I guess, about what's going to happen to programs and classes such as the one that I teach, which is reporting issues of diversity, if those initiatives go into effect, even though Emerson is a private university. And my thought, which I told the reporter, is that it's a little soon to panic. For one thing, I think sometimes people, if they just call the thing another thing, it goes on. The other reason why I say it's a little early to panic a week into this is that we're going to have to wait and see who is going to be affected. Now, a lot of people who are against diversity, equity, and inclusion don't realize that the people who are going to be hurt the most are the ones who benefited the most from DEI. And believe it or not, it ain't us, it's white women. White women have been the biggest beneficiaries of all affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So many of that 53% of y'all who voted for Trump thinking, oh, he's going to get rid of all these people that I'm uncomfortable with, you're going to be one of the ones out on the stoop, because Project 2025 has already let us know this is for cisgender, heterosexual, white men only. The other people who might be surprised that they're going to be affected by are older white men, because ageism is a big thing in the workplace. And once you get over 50, you're going to be looking to be moved out. And there's another letter that isn't expressed as often. It's the A for accessibility. That means if you have a disability, you may also be left off the workplace roles, because even though we have the American with Disabilities Act, any man who's talking about getting rid of the protections that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution provides, which is birthright citizenship, doesn't really care about getting rid of disabled people. Remember, this is the man in his first campaign mocked a disabled reporter. So, sisters, what I'm saying we need to talk about today is, should we panic? Are we going to be the only ones who panic? And how many of those folks are going to be in the position where they voted for the thing and now the thing is going to eat their face? They voted for eating uh, politics, and the leopards are going to eat their faces too.
I'd like to address a couple of those things that you said, Cheryl, because I think that they are very disturbing. And I think that a lot of the youth may not be aware of how down the line this is going to affect them. Now, I'm at UNF here in Florida, and I'm taking a class on Black American literature. And one of the things that this extremely innovative professor has us doing, first of all, one of the assignments at the very beginning was reading the Florida Constitution. It has been changed 6 or 7 times, and reading how it had been changed to benefit certain elements of society that excluded Blacks, children, women, anyone that did not fit the narrative of being an Anglo. Now, one of the other things that we read has been some of the writings of former slave people who described very intricately the horrors of the slave trade, the slave ships, all those things to get you thinking, because these are the kinds of points of history that our teacher said they are trying to eliminate from the school system, but it is important to keep that history alive, to discuss some of the hard things that have gone on in the United States. Florida is one of the states, even though it is southern, it has a massive influence on the rest of the country and how the rest of the country deals with things. There are things that people have voted for, and they don't realize that it is causing our own demise. So some of these issues with diversity, inclusion, and equity have to be addressed and not washed under the rug. On a university level, this particular professor is very strong about making sure that you understand how a lot of the legislation that happens in this state will affect how legislation is going in other states as well. That entire statement that, oh, if you're born here, you and your parents are undocumented, then you're not a citizen. You can't just throw that out of the Constitution. One of the laws here of the United States, if you are born here, you are a citizen. This is not Japan. This is not China. Some of these wild statements that the president makes, you have to take with a grain of salt. He cannot overturn the Constitution. And I think it is really important that, for one thing, people realize all of your answers, most of your answers, are not going to come out of Washington. And why are you panicking? Is God not still sovereign? Does he still not control the world? You think he can't control things in our own country? I think that this presidency is a wake-up call for Christians to stop sitting back, being lazy, and get involved in the things that will make changes for the oppressed in our country, for the disenfranchised in our country, for the people who have the most to lose by discriminatory practices.
Hmm. Well, I certainly do believe that this election is a wake-up call for people who have allowed others to make them feel powerless. We've been in this nation for several hundred years now, and whether the level of hatred, fear, discrimination, whatever it is, if it has not decreased significantly enough for us to really live by the intentions of the written words of the Constitution, and all men, supposedly mankind, that's supposed to mean now, were created equal with certain inalienable rights and all of that. if in the hearts of the people there's still this fear that they need to create a system where some people are privileged above and beyond others, if that sentiment still exists, you can't change other people, but you can change yourself. You can create a circle of people that do believe in sharing, that do believe in equity, that do believe in fairness. And there's nothing stopping people from organizing in their local communities. That's where things happen. We keep going through this every time someone is elected as if that person in Washington is some type of omnipotent ruler that can just change everything at the drop of a hat in 4 years. That's not going to happen. Yeah, you can do some destructive things. You can decrease some destructive things. You can take away some things that were given. But in 4 years, whatever you did can be undone by the next person. And that's what we do every 4 years. So,
Unless, the only thing I say is unless, because getting out of the Paris climate, uh, and getting out of the World Health Organization, when, and I do mean when the next pandemic happens, that's going to leave us even more unable to cope. Because remember, this was the person who screwed it up for us the last time. And so, and now we won't even have the world, because his idea is that everything is transactional. Whatever you can do for me, that's the only thing I think about. And also, we have all of these billionaires who have decided that they're going to run things, and they still, to this day, and will not understand, when the climate is on fire, when the planet is burning, you people will not be able to eat money. When there's no
that's a
food
good
left,
point.
when there's no when there's floods, when there's fires, when there's hurricanes, when the real apocalypse comes from wherever, from the things that we're doing. So you're going drill baby drill. And when the yes, you can make all the money in the world, and these people, some of them have all the money in the world. You know what you can't eat? Money. You can't eat cryptocurrency. You can't eat, but you can't eat your yachts. You can't do a lot of those things, and all of their power is about money. But when they start with the mass deportations that they're talking about, when they're starting up talking about throwing out federal employees because they're not bending the knee, when they have finally destroyed everything, and the world is on fire, then what? Then what?
Well,
That,
this
because
is
what you said, Naeem, is correct. We need to start looking in our own communities. And you know what does work is working locally. All politics
all the
really
time.
is local.
It
So
really is.
it's, and I love Target. I would move into Target for anything. But because Target has decided they're not doing DEI, I don't have to go to Target. But because Costco just said, you know what, you all can stick it, we're sticking with our initiatives, I can go out and I can get that membership to Costco. I can vote with my dollars. We can look at Black owned and minority owned and women owned businesses. And there are apps that you can download, and you can look and see who these people are who are supporting what we believe in, because they can't force us to shop in these places. Nobody's making me go to Target. I
This
just
is
choose to go there.
exactly
And
right.
so,
And this is the wake up call that this election brings.
yes,
Nobody's forcing you to do anything. Nobody's even forcing you to acknowledge this form of currency. If you want to create a barter and exchange system with the people that you know, like, and trust, and want to help and mutually support, nobody is forcing you to participate in a system that tries to exclude you. If you have other people who have what you need and you have what they need, and you work together. So we have to recognize the power that we have and stop giving away our power by believing other people are more powerful than we are. They are not. That's a delusion. Like you mentioned, you can't eat money. And I remember in this scene, I can't remember which disaster movie it was, but it was one of those disaster movies where everything,
Everybody dies.
everybody died. Yeah,
You're not going to
earthquakes.
say Soylent Green is people, are you?
No, but this was one. It was a recent one, and the city was falling apart. Buildings collapsing and everything. And there was this bus that was headed out of town, and these three passengers trying to force the bus driver to let them on. And they said, "We got money. We got money. We'll pay $300." So they forced the bus driver to open the doors and let them in, even though there are no more seats left. So they paid this $300, and then right after that happened, the street collapsed and everybody was killed anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, what good?
What a waste of money.
It bought you nothing. So like you were saying, if when the houses and the trees and the grass and everything is burnt to a crisp, your money has no value at all, which means it never did. Which means if we're intelligent right now, we should be organizing whatever little plot of land you have. Start growing your own food. Nobody can stop you from doing that if you've got seeds. The earth is right there. The water comes down from the sky for absolutely free. The things that we have allowed to happen is we've allowed ourselves to see ourselves as helpless victims. And as long as you see yourself as a victim, you'll act like a victim. All these things that we had the power to do, we always had the power. And now we're panicking because somebody said we're not going to give you privileges. We don't need your privileges. If you got intelligence,
they're not even
whatever
talking
you need.
privileges, though. They're talking about we're taking away your inalienable rights. That's what they're trying to do. But no one can do that. And the thing is that people say, "Oh yeah, there's going to be lots of lawsuits." This person is trying to start a chaos. He's deflecting. What happened to the price of eggs? Because let me tell you something, the price of food is going to be going up exponentially, because when you start mass deporting people, talking about getting rid, these are the people who are working in the plants, your chicken plants, your egg plants, your vegetables. They're the ones picking these things. You're cleaning your hotel rooms, and people are sitting there saying, "Oh, that they're taking our jobs." You know what? You don't want those jobs. And these people who you're talking about deporting because of your own animus toward people who look different from you are the people who are doing the things that you're not willing to do. And the thing is that I've been reading stories of folks saying, who are on Social Security and Medicaid, and they're talking about, "Oh, I hope that my he's going to change our life." He is going to cut those things because he does not care about you. He cares about the billionaires who he lined up, Game of Thrones type, for his inauguration. Those are the people he cares about, and he does not care about you and your $1,300 that you get from disability, because you can't work anymore, and you're already not making it, and you're already below the poverty line. And they're talking about sunsetting uh uh all of these programs. They're talking about getting rid of um those that wiping out that $35 cap for seniors for medications. A lot of those people voted for him, and they're going to be the first ones. And that's why I say we don't need to panic over diversity, equity, and inclusion. And people want to come up and give you a hug and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You need to really be sorry for yourself, because this also includes you. And
Well, I
Nobody's
believe.
giving me any hugs over this thing. I think that people get bent out of shape over a lot of wording that is all it is wording. I mean, like, yes, you have a president who says all kinds of things, whatever pops into his head, but realize that there are other people in place to prevent total craziness. I just don't
there
believe
used to
that.
be. That's the problem, is that now he's only going for the people who will bend the knee to him, who will feed at least until they get rid of him, because that's, they're not going to keep him for long, I still believe.
4 years max. I mean, come on. Whatever
Oh, he's
whatever
talking
they
like
do in 4 years can be
change the
undone.
Constitution so that he can run again. I says, okay, yeah, all right,
You
fine.
can't run again. Two
How
terms
old
is
is this
it.
man? How old is this man? I mean, let's be
Well,
real.
Two
he'll be
terms is it.
85 when he, if he,
All the tanning lotions in the world can't hide the reality of his age.
and the fact that you have a crappy diet, you eat fast food, you don't exercise, going around and walking through and carting a golf court cart, because he rides in a golf cart. He doesn't walk the course. He does no exercises. He eats crap, and he puts paint on his face, thinking that makes him look younger. You know what? You're already not in good shape.
So
You're
the
already not
intelligent thing to do.
and talking crazy every single day. And so we cannot panic, because every time this man opens his mouth or opens his tweet or whatever you all want to call that, I'm not on Twitter anymore, or X. I'm not dealing with
Time
rape,
wasters.
but anytime you want
All
to
the
do
more reason
all of
why
that
we really
stuff,
should be praying for this administration, because the truth is people, they panic out of fears that have been misplaced.
Fear.
well, it's fear that has been well placed, though. It's all the fear mongering that started with, oh, these people, we need to close the borders. We need to stop talking about people being undocumented in this country, because the only people who came here who have documents are the indigenous people who were here the first time. They only started changing the rules when they want to give more opportunities for more European Americans to come over here. Nobody
With the
asked.
Chinese Exclusion Act.
Yeah.
Chinese Exclusion Act, they tried to keep them. They
Because
didn't. The
before
reason,
then, people just came over. You did not, there was no,
no,
you
there
got a
was
ticket
not.
on a boat, you came, you were here.
That's the whole Statue of Liberty symbolizes.
Yes,
You're tired, you're poor, all that sort of thing. So the whole thing is, we are allowing ourselves to be pushed into a panic. If you don't turn the man on, he doesn't come into your house. I don't have any emotional memory of the inauguration, because I didn't bring it into my home. I didn't
Well,
bring
there
it into
was a
my
great
heart.
special on
News
Martin
didn't
Luther
happen. I
King
didn't need
that I
I
watched
didn't need to
while
see
that
it.
was
you
happening.
know what? Was there inauguration? Because I don't know. I went and I celebrated with my daughter. We celebrated Martin Luther King Day. We
We were watching Urban Intellectuals. They had some great clips, speeches, and questions and answers on Urban Intellectuals. We'll have to get the person who runs Urban Intellectuals on this
we,
show
we got
sometime.
we got we got
There was a lot of things to do that day.
my no, my daughter and I got massages, and then we came
Oh,
home. We had a nice meal. We watched 688. I highly recommend it. Um, and that was what we did. So that's how I celebrated and honored Dr. Martin Luther King.
But
Everything else happened. That's on the rest of y'all folks. Right now, when we talk about what we're talking about, though, is should we worry about the loss of these things?
well,
We,
nobody can take away your inalienable rights, just like
no,
nobody can.
no, and if you're
Nobody can take
your
anything. They
job,
can do. They
you
can.
know
They
what?
can. They
There
can
still
be
are
unkind,
lawsuits. There's
but
still
they
there,
cannot take
yes,
away what is divinely yours, and that is the
yes.
right to life. They cannot. But as long as you fear is false evidence appearing real. And the panic is what's making people focus on their anger instead of organizing and strategizing and planning for what we do in 4 years from now. The smart thing to do
We
is to
don't
put
even have
all
to
the
do
structures in
4 years.
place that can continue on what we have and what we want to have, and get rid of whatever is dismantled in the next 4 years. That's the smart thing to do, because I don't care how many decrees he has. Every single person that is supporting this idea eventually is going to either be out of office or just off the planet, because their time is up and it's time for them to transition out of here. So why are we allowing this man to make us believe that he's this all-powerful person that can change the world, when all he can do is do a little bit of damage while he's here, which everything he does can be undone as soon as he's gone? Why are we panicking instead of planning?
And the thing is that we don't even have to wait 4 years.
No,
There's
we
an election in 2.
Yes, right. That's right. So, and regarding praying for this
And he's
administration,
getting older. He made, he's talking about running for a third term.
No, he's not.
yes, he is. But I mean, he's got a young vice president, and if people think that maybe they can continue his legacy through this 40-year-old person or whatever, if enough people, instead of panicking, plan, strategize, organize, then they don't have to worry about.
Or laugh. Don't you all see that so much of this is a comedy? Really, I took stand-up writing comedy. I know funny stuff when I see it.
I know the comedians are going to have a field day the next 4 years, because this is insane. But regarding praying for this administration, I think we should always spiritually have the desire for the best of the nation and the world at heart, regardless of who's in that position.
I agree.
We are affected by their state of mind, their perceptions, who they have around them, and whatever unstable people might choose to create chaos, playing off of the fears of the masses. So our responsibility is to not to add to the chaos by living in a state of fear and panic. That's what I believe.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I've got prayers for a lot of the people who are fearful right now, the people who in mixed status households who are going to, be worried. I'm less concerned for myself. I mean, if my job went away, okay, okay, I'll just I'll bite the bullet until it's time for me to start taking my Social Security, because I'm going to wait a couple of more years. But the thing is that you can try to censor knowledge, but the knowledge is still going to be out there. You can try to shut down, you can try to control the media. There is so much media. You don't have to look at the mainstream. You can look at there are all kinds of people on Substack, on the New Republic, on Midas Touch, on and I can think of so many.
So many YouTube channels, you can't even count them. So there's so much alternative media.
There's so much alternative of people, Crooked Media, which was founded by some of the Obama's people. That's a very good podcast. They have several podcasts that are very strong in getting the news out there. Strict Scrutiny is another one on laws. So as we wrap up, because I am looking at the time, remember that you don't have to just think that whatever is told by either the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Los Angeles Times and all the other billionaires, that they control knowledge. We control the knowledge and the opportunity, and we can get out there and we can organize and we can be ready, because this is not going to last. Panic.
My journalism teacher always said, believe none of what you read and only half of what you see.
That's right.
Yes. Don't forget, we're out there. We're all out there. It's not going to all go away because somebody wills it away. We're stronger than all of this.
We're stronger than all of this. We got to remember, and this is just a drop in the bucket of time. It'll be over before we know it. Well, we want to thank you all for watching. And of course, we remind you to make sure you like and subscribe to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel so that you can get that notice every time we're live at 5 Central, 6 Eastern, Sunday evenings on 3 Black Moms. And until next time, I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are 3 Black moms. Happy New Year. Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.